Vent husband's father's COVID denial led to his death, now Mill blames me. My father-in-law was a staunch COVID denier. He loudly proclaimed to anyone who would listen that it was all a hoax and nothing to worry about. He went further, actively mocking those who took precautions. He'd leave snide comments on social media posts about mask wearing, essentially labeling anyone who wore one as foolish and easily led. In a particularly egregious display, he filmed himself inside a sandwich shop, declaring he was about to make the snowflake sandwich artist panic. Curiosity, he then proceeded to stand on tiptoe and cough dramatically over the protective glass at the employee, sending the video to me and others as some kind of joke. It was immature, irresponsible, and frankly disgusting behavior. He even tried to organize a local protest against business closures, which unsurprisingly no one attended. He was truly awful throughout the pandemic. I confronted him over the phone about the sandwich shop video. Working in healthcare, I've witnessed the devastating reality of COVID firsthand, and his actions were anything but funny. He dismissed my concerns, laughing it off, and then, incredibly, he posted the video directly to my Facebook wall, adding a condescending message about hoping I'd reconsider my views. I had been taking a break from Facebook for my mental well-being, so I didn't see it immediately. Instead, I started receiving calls and texts from my sisters, horrified by his behavior. This incident ignited a significant family conflict, because I am Facebook friends with many of his relatives who were understandably appalled by his actions. He faced considerable backlash and harsh criticism from his own family due to his behavior and the video. Tragically, and perhaps predictably, he contracted COVID and passed away. While I am genuinely sorry for my husband's loss and for his family's grief, I must admit I am not personally heartbroken by his passing. However, my mother-in-law, his wife, has somehow twisted this entire situation and placed the blame squarely on me. She doesn't fully grasp how Facebook works and is convinced that I took the video he sent me and posted it online for public consumption. In reality, it was him who posted it to my wall. We have tried repeatedly to explain this to her, my husband, myself, other family members, but she refuses to accept the truth. She has gone so far as to claim that his death is on my conscience because in her mind, I turned his family against him, leaving him with nothing to live for. She insists that the family's negative reactions, supposedly instigated by me, destroyed his mental state to such an extent that he couldn't recover from COVID. She actually believes that if it weren't for me, he would have been strong enough to overcome the virus, as she maintains COVID isn't that serious and he essentially died of a broken heart, not the illness itself. She even posted on Facebook publicly labeling me a traitor who invaded his privacy by sharing a video that was meant to be a private joke and never intended for the wider internet. She claims I orchestrated a campaign to bully him. Numerous family members commented on her post, correcting her and stating that he was the one who posted the video on my wall. Yet she remains unconvinced. She is absolutely certain that I am the villain in this scenario. While I understand she is grieving and struggling, her behavior is completely irrational. I simply cannot deal with her anymore. I'm done. Wow, the mental gymnastics this mother-in-law is doing are Olympic level. It is truly astounding how she twisted reality to avoid any accountability for her husband's actions. If you want more takes on JustNoMIL, be sure to subscribe. My mother-in-law's negligence killed my daughter. Now she expects access to my son. This is a lengthy story and I apologize for that up front. My mother-in-law is directly responsible for the death of my daughter, her own grandchild. Our daughter was only 2 years old at the time. My husband and I had entrusted her care to my mother-in-law while we were occupied with work commitments. It was during the summer and she was staying at Mill's house, which unfortunately has a pond situated very close to the property. Our daughter adored water. Bath time was always her absolute favorite part of the day. They were playing near the edge of the pond when MIL suddenly remembered she needed to retrieve laundry from the dryer. Inexplicably, she left a vulnerable 2-year-old completely unsupervised right next to a substantial body of water. My daughter's natural toddler curiosity, combined with her love for water, tragically led her into the deep end of the pond, and she drowned, all because my mother-in-law prioritized taking clothes out of the dryer over the safety of her grandchild. When she finally realized what had occurred, she panicked and desperately called for help. A neighbor heard her cries, rushed to the pond, and they managed to pull my daughter from the water and call for an ambulance, but it was too late. Imagine the unimaginable pain of arriving to find the person you entrusted your precious child to, only to be told your baby is gone. Adding to the horror, Mil immediately began begging us not to involve the police. She kept repeating that it was just an accident, claiming she didn't know how it could have happened, like that she was only gone for a moment, that she felt even worse than we did, and that calling the police wouldn't bring her back. Despite her pleas, we did call the police, of course. She was subsequently charged with criminal negligence and received a 3-year prison sentence, which in my opinion was woefully inadequate for the irreversible damage she caused. Recently, MIL was released from prison, and the first person she sought out was my husband. He had intentionally avoided any contact with her throughout her entire incarceration. Unintentionally or not, she caused the death of our child through her blatant neglect of her babysitting responsibilities. The fact that she served a prison sentence is irrelevant to us. Neither my husband nor I will ever be able to forgive her for this catastrophic loss. Furthermore, she has never once offered a genuine apology or asked for forgiveness. All we have received are excuses and justifications. In the courtroom, my husband made it unequivocally clear to her that she was no longer his mother, that she was dead to him, and that he never wanted to see her face again. The trauma of this event deeply fractured our marriage. We were both consumed by depression, we argued constantly, and there were times when we were on the verge of complete collapse. We even separated for a period. I moved to another country, believing it was the end for us. However, my husband eventually followed me, and against the odds, we managed to salvage our relationship and rebuild our life together. For a long time, I couldn't even contemplate having more children, but eventually I became pregnant again, and last summer we welcomed our son into the world. He's now 9 months old. Naturally, we had no intention of informing MIL about our new baby. However, she happened to see us walking with a stroller and realized that she had another grandchild. Immediately, she tried to contact my husband. Her initial approach was to reproach him for not visiting her in prison, launching into a tearful monologue about how difficult her time behind bars had been, complaining that she was too old for prison, questioning how he could do this to his own mother, and accusing him of abandoning her. Then, in a jarring shift, she abruptly changed her tone, saying, "But I saw you have a new baby. I'm so happy I have a grandchild again." She then proceeded to inquire about the baby's gender, and when she could see and meet him, because she supposedly wanted to be involved in his care, my husband immediately and unequivocally shut her down, telling her that she has no claim to our child. He stated firmly that this was our child and ours alone. He declared that our son does not have a grandmother in his life, and we would ensure he understood this as he grew up. He emphasized that she would never, under any circumstances, be allowed near him. We are completely united in this decision. The pain of losing our daughter remains a constant ache, and we are determined to do everything in our power to protect our son from her. He does not need an irresponsible grandmother who has already demonstrated her capacity to endanger a child's life. Mil was utterly shocked and reacted with dramatic wailing, accusing us of being cruel and evil. She claimed we were holding the past against her forever, even though she had paid her debt to society. She insisted we were heartless for preventing her from seeing her grandchild. But what exactly was she expecting? What delusional fantasy was she living in? Did she genuinely believe we would allow her anywhere near our baby? Did she actually think we could ever trust her with babysitting again? Frankly, I'm not even sure if I can ever bring myself to leave my son with any babysitter. My trust in childcare has been completely shattered. If a grandmother can be so utterly careless as to cause the death of a child, who knows what an unrelated person might be capable of? My husband reiterated firmly that she would have absolutely no access to our baby and that he wanted no further communication with her. He suggested that now that she was out of prison, she should find something constructive to do with her life and leave us alone. MIL refused to accept this. That evening, she showed up at our house demanding to see her grandchild again. We obviously refused to let her inside, and MIL became enraged, asserting that as a grandmother, she had inherent rights to see her grandchild. We told her directly and unequivocally that she forfeited all rights to our children the moment she allowed our daughter to drown. Some breaches of trust are irreparable, and some acts are simply unforgivable. In response, Emil threatened to take us to court and demand legal visitation rights to see the baby. I'm not even sure if such a legal avenue exists, but if it does, I highly doubt she would succeed given her criminal record. If we are forced to go to court to prove that she is demonstrably unfit to be around our child, we will do it without hesitation. If she returns to our home again, we will call the police immediately. If necessary, we are even prepared to leave the country and relocate somewhere else entirely, just to ensure we can live our lives free from her presence and protect our son. Nothing is off the table. I remain astounded by her sheer audacity and lack of self-awareness. She is acutely aware that she irrevocably shattered our lives 3 years ago. No parent should ever have to bury their child, yet we were forced to endure that unimaginable pain because of her negligence, and now she reappears in our lives as if she is the most loving and deserving relative imaginable, completely oblivious to the enormity of what she has done. It's go time, finally escaping my Jay and mom. Quick recap, I'm in my late 20s, and my JustNoMIL, who I call Artsy, has a suffocating grip on my life. She's emotionally and verbally abusive, and I felt like a prisoner in my own home for far too long. I've been secretly seeing a therapist, and today is the day I finally break free and leave. It's happening today. 8 a.m. I just walked out of the house, pretending it's just another day going to work. In about 2 hours, the movers and the police escort will arrive, and I can finally get my belongings. This is really happening. It feels surreal. I'm a mix of emotions right now. I'm wanting to cry, wanting to throw up, all at once. My fingertips are buzzing with this strange, tingling sensation. I'm currently hiding out in a Starbucks, trying my best to keep calm and avoid a full-blown panic attack. I'll try to update this post throughout the day. Please send positive vibes and encouragement my way. I desperately need to hear some good things because everything is about to change in a major way. 10:45 a.m. just got the notification. Both the police and the movers are scheduled to arrive in about 15 minutes. My heart is pounding. 12:30 p.m. I'm officially out. I'm in my new place. It's done. Final update for today. The police were unfortunately delayed and couldn't make it in time, but thankfully the movers and my amazing friends formed a buffer and kept her away from me. We managed to get everything packed and out in under an hour. During the move out, she made a vague threat to harm herself, so I immediately alerted the police and requested a wellness check for her. I truly hope this marks the end of this chapter. To everyone in this community who offered support and encouragement, thank you from the bottom of my heart. I can never fully express how grateful I am for your virtual presence and kind words. I love you all. You genuinely helped me save myself. I am eternally grateful for this community. 3 p.m. Well, it seems the drama wasn't quite over yet. After we unloaded all my belongings at my new apartment, I went straight to the bank to immediately close my personal account and remove my name from our shared safety deposit box. And wouldn't you know it, she was there. In a bizarre twist of fate, it actually turned out to be somewhat helpful because apparently you can't remove yourself from a safety deposit box without all account holders being present. So I was forced to sit next to her for the duration of the closing process. Thankfully, my friend came with me and stood right by my side the entire time, acting as a silent support and witness. Artsy, of course, couldn't resist making a scene. She started launching into wild accusations claiming I was being kidnapped or that I was running off with some mysterious man. At one point, she even tried to surreptitiously take a picture of us sitting together, but my quick-thinking friend swiftly blocked her phone just as she was switching to the front-facing camera. Throughout this entire ordeal, I remained completely silent and disengaged. I just stared straight ahead, focusing on getting through it. The bank scene, oh my goodness, that is textbook just no behavior. The wild accusations, the sneaky photo attempt, but OP's silent treatment, perfect. Escape really is freedom. Jay and Mom's years of lies unravel at family reunion. Cue the meltdown. For the first 21 years of my life, my Jay and Mom was a truly toxic presence. Living at home with her was absolute hell. Her constant negativity and abuse contributed significantly to my depression and anxiety. I was always stressed, and when I struggled with my weight, she would relentlessly mock me. Due to my low self-esteem and depression, holding down a job in my younger years was a challenge, which she used as another opportunity to label me as lazy and worthless. At 21, I finally managed to move out. I stayed with friends and focused on rebuilding my mental and physical health. I worked hard to improve myself and eventually landed a stable job that I enjoy. Now 4 years later, I feel like a completely different person. I have a wonderful group of friends and a supportive boyfriend who is my rock. For these past 4 years, I have been living in North Carolina, the same state as my mother, but also some other family members I intentionally avoid. One of the main reasons for this distance is that they consistently sided with my mother and believed her fabricated stories about me. In her narrative, I was portrayed as some sort of monstrous child, and they had no reason to doubt her woe is me tales. The only family members I maintained contact with were my grandparents, who had witnessed some of her abusive behavior towards me shortly before I moved out. They had distanced themselves from her and didn't want to get entangled in family drama. I also stayed in touch with a cousin who had been a childhood witness to my mother's treatment of me. Throughout these 4 years of minimal contact, my mother continued to spread lies about me. According to her, I was gaining weight uncontrollably, still unemployed, homeless, and had even attempted to break into her house multiple times. She even went as far as claiming I had physically assaulted her. However, just last month my grandfather reached out to me. He confessed that he had heard rumors of what my mother had been saying about me and encouraged me to join the upcoming virtual family reunion in January to set the record straight and show everyone the truth. My cousin also chimed in suggesting that I subtly position myself during the virtual reunion in a way that would reveal my boyfriend's presence in my home, as apparently my mother had also been telling everyone I was incapable of getting a boyfriend. So the day of the virtual reunion arrived. I joined intentionally 5 minutes late to maximize the impact. The expressions on people's faces when I appeared were priceless. It was clear they were not expecting the person they saw. That's when family members started questioning my mother directly. My mother, flustered, completely ignored their questions and lamely excused my changed appearance by suggesting I must have had some work done. That's when I decided to speak up. I stated clearly, "No, this is me as I have been for the past 3 years. All the information you've been receiving about me, primarily from this woman," I gestured towards my mother, who, like many of you I haven't spoken to in years, has been fabricated. She has lied and consistently degraded me my entire life, and it seems she is incapable of doing anything else. At that moment, as if on cue, my boyfriend walked into the kitchen. The family members visibly reacted even more strongly when I introduced him as my boyfriend, and he gave a friendly wave to the screen from the background. My mother, meanwhile, was shooting daggers at me with her eyes, a full-on death stare. People resumed questioning my mother, demanding answers. She remained evasive, eventually declaring, "I don't need to answer to anyone," before abruptly ending her video call and leaving the virtual reunion altogether. Later that day, I learned from my cousin, who heard it from her mother, that my J&M mom had a complete meltdown after the reunion. She was furious that I had dared to participate, accusing me of being smug and blaming me for causing problems within the family, but it was clear to everyone, including my cousin's mother, that her anger stemmed solely from embarrassment and being publicly exposed for her years of lies. It all backfired spectacularly on her. Edit, thank you for the gold kind stranger. JN mom's lies backfiring spectacularly? Delicious. And the boyfriend reveal was the perfect mic drop. What kind of mic drop moments have you had with your Just Know? Share in the comments. JustNoMIL took scissors to my trans daughter's hair and forced a suit. I share custody of my 16-year-old transgender daughter with my ex-husband. She came out to us as trans about a year ago. We also have a 14-year-old son. I have primary custody, and my ex has visitation every other weekend since he relocated a few hours away. I identify as bisexual, and my own parents unfortunately kicked me out when I came out to them. Thankfully, I was adopted by a loving gay couple. In contrast, my ex-husband was raised in a very conservative, deeply religious environment, the kind that believes in praying the gay away rather than genuine acceptance and love. So when our daughter came out as transgender, I was naturally more understanding and accepting than my ex, who is still struggling to fully accept her transition. My daughter is very much a girly girl, even more so than I ever was. We have special mother-daughter days where we get our nails done and shop for clothes together. She has been growing her hair out, and it was recently at a lovely length just past her collarbone. My ex-mother-in-law has a peculiar obsession with two specific family photos. The first photo features my ex-father-in-law, XFIL, and ex-grandfather-in-law, XGFIL. It was taken on XFIL's 16th birthday. XFIL is positioned in the foreground with XGFIL standing behind him, hands resting on XFIL's shoulders. Both men in the photo are wearing suits. The second photo is a recreation of the first, taken on my ex-husband's 16th birthday. This time my ex is in the front and XFIL is behind him. Before my daughter was born, when I was pregnant and we were told we were expecting a boy, XMIL immediately became fixated on the idea of recreating these photos when our son turned 16. Our daughter turned 16 at the end of September. I had almost completely forgotten about these photos until her birthday approached, but then I didn't hear anything about it from either my ex or XMIL. I assumed that since they no longer had a 16-year-old son to take the photo with, they had simply let the idea go, perhaps planning to revive it when our son turned 16. Then, this past Wednesday, our son came down with the flu. I texted my ex to let him know that our son wouldn't be able to come over that weekend to avoid potentially spreading the illness. On Friday, I dropped off our daughter at my ex's place as usual after school and then headed home to care for our sick son. I told her to text me if she needed anything, but explained that it might take me a while to get there due to needing to care for our son, but I made sure to put some extra money on her debit card in case she needed to get home quickly. The standard arrangement is that I drop them off Friday evening and my ex brings them home Sunday evening. However, our daughter arrived home on Saturday afternoon, completely unexpectedly, stepping off the train a full 24 hours early, sporting a shockingly short, uneven chin-length bob. She recounted what had happened. She woke up Saturday morning and went downstairs to find JustNoMIL and X waiting for her. JustNoMIL announced that they were taking a photo for their Christmas cards and handed my daughter a suit. My daughter explained that suits weren't really her style, but JustNoMIL insisted, and my ex backed her up, leaving my daughter feeling pressured and unable to argue, so she reluctantly put on the suit. Then, JustNoMIL picked up a pair of kitchen scissors and told her to sit down for a haircut. My daughter immediately refused. I said, "No way." X then suggested tying her hair back as a compromise. They proceeded to take the photo with her hair tied back. But at some point after the photo was taken, while my daughter was sitting down with her back turned to JustNoMIL grabbed her ponytail and cut it off completely. At this point, my daughter understandably lost it. She ran upstairs, changed out of the suit, grabbed her phone and debit card, told both X and JustNoMIL to go F themselves, and left. She took the very next train home. I've done my best to even out the choppy bob, but it's still a mess. I am now actively looking into legal options to prevent her from having to go back to his place at all. The current custody agreement is over a decade old, and both kids are now teenagers. I anticipate my ex will put up a fight if I simply stop sending her, so I know I'll need to pursue legal channels to renegotiate the custody arrangement. My lawyer is scheduled to call me in the next couple of days to discuss this. Honestly, the main reason for this post is just to vent my absolute fury and disbelief. Kitchen scissors on her granddaughter's hair? That's not a haircut, that's an assault with the side of transphobia. If you're as horrified as I am, like and subscribe for more JustNoMIL madness. See you next time.